Hi, I'm Ada. I'm a level 1 chef.
I'm Anthony, and I'm a level 2 chef.
I think I need like a child size.
I'm Elisa. I've been a professional pastry chef for over 20 years.
My brownies are a little bit cakey. They're just right.
I like my brownies halfway between cakey and fudgy. I probably make this recipe once or twice a month.
I like a fudgy brownie. This brownie recipe I learned back in pastry school, and I've been perfecting it ever since.
I'm gonna start making brownies.
I am gonna start with my dry ingredients, half a cup of flour.
Just regular all-purpose flour.
I always weigh my ingredients. That way you can always make sure every recipe is consistent every time you make it. I just put too much flour in.
And then a cup of sugar.
I'm using granulated sugar.
So I use a regular granulated white sugar and also a dark brown sugar because that will give an extra rich flavor to my brownies.
I use melted butter because it's already in liquid form.
We're gonna add room temperature butter. It's just much easier to incorporate if it's room temperature.
When I choose my butter, I want to make sure that there are no additives in it. I'm using a pure butter, and organic is always the best.
And I'm just using my fork to mix. See, just think of how many calories you're burning right now when you're doing this. And then you can eat all of this yourself, and it evens itself out.
Creaming together the butter and sugar helps get that cakiness going. There we go. You're done creaming when it's nice and well mixed together, but the butter's also fluffy and kind of sticky.
While my sugars are incorporating, I crack my eggs into a bowl. It's really important that you crack your eggs into a bowl first, not directly into your mixture, because you never know if little pieces of shell will get inside. That wouldn't be good.
One nice little touch I like to add is a little bit of almond flavor to my brownies. So we're gonna use an ounce of amaretto liqueur. Oh, that smells good.
Now I'm going to add the 3/4 cocoa powder.
Use the best cocoa powder you can find.
This smells so good.
I don't pack it or fluff it or anything else. I just scoop it in and then level it off.
I prefer to use chocolate rather than cocoa powder. Cocoa powder sometimes can leave a granular taste. I'm just going to melt some delicious chocolate and high quality butter over a bain-marie. I want to make almost like a chocolate syrup. This will give a really nice texture to my brownie. Blah.
Love makes the ideal brownie, but also a good mixture. If you look at the consistency, it's nice and smooth.
Now we're gonna mix these together. I'm using a hand mixer because I don't want to sit here for 30 minutes and work up a nice sweat.
I'm using a paddle attachment rather than a whisk because I don't want to whisk in any extra air.
You have to do it like this, like your life depends on it. All right, very chocolatey.
One of the best combinations are brownies and caramel. So I've decided to make bourbon salted caramel. I'm just starting with sugar right into the pan. I'm at about 160 degrees and it's turning a nice amber color. And I'm going to add butter, some heavy cream. I add the bourbon right into the mixture. The bourbon adds a nice complex flavor and some notes of nuttiness to the caramel. And I'm going to stick it into the freezer for at least an hour. But I have one last step. Homemade whipped cream is one of the easiest things you can make. It has 3 ingredients: heavy cream, confectioner's sugar, and vanilla extract, and you whip it in a chilled bowl. I know it looks curdled, but it's not.
All right, this is some assembly required.
Before we put the batter in, I'm gonna grease the pan.
I like to treat my butter like a crayon sometimes. I'm just gonna make sure that every little nook and cranny is covered by that butter.
I'm putting it into a pan lined with parchment that's been buttered so it won't stick.
I'm also gonna add just a pinch of flour to coat the butter, and then we're gonna roll it around. I think this just helps everything come out at the end, like so that nothing sticks to the sides. I'm gonna put half of the batter into the pan first.
I'm just gonna make it even.
Sometimes you'll see people have baked their brownies and it's really uneven, and that's usually because they don't use an offset spatula to smooth it out and put the batter in all areas of the pan.
This is my other little special trick and treat. I like to put the chocolate chips right into the middle of the brownie. Maybe 2 handfuls. Maybe a little bit more. You get a chip, and you get a chip. They melt down, and that's where you get a little bit more of that fudginess. Let's finish it up with the last half.
I'm going to layer the caramel right on top. And I'll show you a special trick. So now I'm just using my butter knife, and I'm swirling the caramel into the brownie batter.
I mean, if there's a little left over on the spoon, that's not a bad thing.
Good. Now I'm gonna bake this for 20 to 25 minutes at 325 degrees.
350 degrees for 20 minutes.
45 minutes at 350 degrees.
All right, looks good, looks good.
I'm excited about this.
They look and smell delicious.
When can we dig in?
It's alive!
I'm the queen of brownies. I just am. Wait. This is tough.
We're gonna top it with sliced almonds. I like a lot of almonds. And some confectioner sugar. It's more for looks than anything else.
It's not coming off. Bon Appétit. Very, very excited with what I've done here. I mean, pat myself on the back.
You have cakey layers on the bottom and the top. You got that nice fudginess in the middle when those chocolate chips all melted down. It's awesome.
You can smell the combination of the caramel with the chocolate and the fresh whipped cream.
All right, let's cut off a bite and try it. Oh, come on.
This is a good brownie. I mean, wow.
Nice work.
That's amazing.
Me.
Now that we've seen levels 1, 2, and 3, it's clear that there's a lot of variability when it comes to brownies. Let's talk about what makes each one unique. Let's talk about chocolate. The form of chocolate that you use is going to make a difference as to whether you end up with a chewy brownie or a more fudgy brownie.
I like my brownies really fudgy.
My brownies are a little bit cakey.
For a chewy brownie, you're going to go with cocoa powder. Cocoa powder is processed from the roasted cocoa beans after the cocoa butter has been removed. It's pressed into discs, and then it's pulverized, and you end up with cocoa powder. Most cocoa powders go through a Dutch processing where we add an alkali, and that raises the pH so it's less acidic. As you raise the pH, some of the compounds in the chocolate form pigments that don't have a lot of taste to it, so you get a really dark, rich color with a more mild flavor. You might think of an Oreo cookie. It's almost black in color, it's highly alkalized, and it has a really mild, soft chocolate flavor. If you want a fudgy brownie, you use melted dark chocolate, like Elisa did. That has all of the cocoa butter. It's going to give you a nice, silky, dense brownie. It's already in liquid form, so you don't need to incorporate as much air when you're mixing.
This will make a really nice fudgy texture.
Unlike cocoa powder, which is going to need mixing and hydration in order to work in your brownie.
It takes a lot of form work.
Anthony did a combination of the two. He used cocoa powder, but then he added a layer of chocolate chips in between the batter, so he had this middle section that was pretty fudgy.
It's kind of an unexpected treat while you're biting into it.
The flavor profile of these brownies ranged from simple to complex. Ada's was a really simple flavor profile, nothing but chocolate.
It's a brownie, it's gonna be eaten.
Anthony did something different. He added an almond liqueur,
I think it just kind of kicks it up a notch.
which is a really nice complementary flavor to the chocolate. He also added almonds on top, which really bolstered that almond flavor and added a nice textural component.
Might have the whole thing just for myself.
Elisa topped her brownies with a bourbon-infused caramel. Similar to the almonds, the bourbon adds a nutty flavor, and it also has some notes of butterscotch, which emphasizes the caramel.
It's going to be fantastic.
Caramelization is a really interesting and complex non-enzymatic reaction of sucrose, which is white sugar, breaking down into its component of fructose and glucose, which is very, very sweet. White sugar by itself has just a sweet note. As you increase the temperature, you lose water and you increase the browning compounds that are expressed in the caramel.
I'm at about 160 degrees and it's turning a nice amber color.
And you get these really complex, beautiful, roasted, toasty flavors.
Ooh, I want to have some more.
You can make caramel with just white sugar and heat, but when you add the heavy cream and the butter, it controls crystallization. You don't want any granularity or crystallization in your caramel. You want it to be smooth and silky.
No one wants a clumpy brownie.
When baking the brownies, Ada used a glass dish, while Anthony and Elisa used metal. Metal's a good conductor of heat, it heats very fast, and you'll get a nice crispy edge to your brownies. Anthony greased and floured his pan. This is different than Ada, who just greased her pan.
I don't know what's going on.
When you add flour to the pan, the flour acts like a nuclei, where the batter can kind of grab onto the flour and creep up the edges of the dish. This results in a thicker brownie on the sides.
I'm kind of an edge guy myself. Perfect.
I'm the queen of brownies.
Does it look so pretty?
Smells delicious.
There's a lot that goes into baking brownies, so next time you make them, I hope you consider all of these things so you get the perfect brownie for you.
See you later.